Today, we're going to talk about event planning. Specifically, how we build that bridge from a really great idea all the way to a real, happening, successful event. So yeah, let's get into the blueprint.
You know the feeling, right? You get this amazing concept for a conference, maybe a community festival or a big product launch. But there's this huge gap between that flash of inspiration and an event that people actually love. So, how do you get from A to B? Well, the answer isn't magic, and it's definitely not just getting lucky. It's all about having a plan, a solid blueprint. It's about having a structured way of doing things that turns what could be total chaos into a clear, step-by-step process.
Okay, so first things first. This is probably the biggest mindset shift you need to make. An event isn't just a party or a get-together. Nope. Events are complex projects. And when you start treating them like projects, that's when you stop budgets from spiraling, you manage risks, and you make sure everybody is rowing in the same direction. It takes the same kind of discipline as, I don't know, building an app or a bridge.
And here's the official definition, which is actually pretty powerful when you think about it. We're not just, organizing something. We are applying proven, structured methods, project management, to something that feels super creative. The whole point is to merge that creative spark with a really solid professional framework.
So you're probably wondering, what does this professional framework actually look like? Well, event managers all over the world basically use a 5-phase blueprint. You can think of it as the master plan, the roadmap that guides every single decision you make, from day one right up to the final wrap-up report.
And here they are. Initiation, that's the concept phase. Then you've got planning, where you get into all the details. Implementation is the action phase. Then, of course, you have the event itself, showtime. And finally, closure, which is the wrap-up. Every single great event moves through these stages. But honestly, the one that sets the stage for everything else is that first one, initiation. If you get this part right, you've built a rock-solid foundation. And that's what we're going to focus on today.
Okay, this is where it all begins. It's the phase where your big, amazing idea gets tested, it gets refined, and it gets put on solid strategic ground. This whole phase is really about asking the hard questions to figure out if you even have a workable event to begin with.
And to build that foundation, we can turn to a classic framework from event management expert Dr. Joe Goldblatt. It's the 5 W's. Now, they seem super simple, I know, but trust me, these questions are the strategic pillars that are going to support your entire project. To really see how this works, let's just walk through a quick example together. Let's pretend our job is to plan a sustainability fair for a university. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, let's apply the blueprint and see what happens.
So, asking why is the perfect place to start. Our why is to promote sustainability. But that's a little fuzzy, isn't it? It's not something you can really act on. To get anywhere, we have to turn that vague mission into a laser-focused target.
And this is exactly how we do it. We use what are called SMART objectives. Just look at the difference. Host a good sustainability fair, that's a wish. What does good even mean? But attract 500 students and sign up 15 vendors by April 30th, now that is a plan. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. All of a sudden, we know exactly what success looks like.
Okay, let's move on to the who. An event is never just for one group of people. It's got all these different stakeholders, and every single one of them has their own needs, their own expectations, and different levels of influence. For our fair, we've got a whole ecosystem of people who matter.
Now, here's the key. You can't give everyone the same amount of attention. It's just not possible. So you have to be strategic. You map out your stakeholders based on how much power they have and how much interest they have. The folks in that high power, high interest category, the university administration who can give you the green light or shut you down, those are your key players. You have to manage their expectations super closely. It's all about putting your limited energy where it's going to have the biggest impact.
Okay, so now we have a clear, SMART objective, and we know who we need to keep happy. Now comes the moment of truth, the feasibility study. This is where the dream gets a serious reality check from the deadline and the budget. And that is the cold, hard truth of event management. You could have the most creative, world-changing event concept ever, but it's completely worthless if you can't actually make it happen in the real world.
Which means you have to ask 3 really tough, non-negotiable questions. First up, the budget. Do you actually have the money to pull this off?
Second, the timeline. Realistically, is there enough time to plan and execute this thing properly without cutting corners?
And finally, the team.
Do you have the right people with the right skills and enough hours in the day to make this happen? So money, time, and people. Answering these questions honestly isn't about being negative or killing the idea. It's about setting your event up for success from the very beginning. This feasibility check is the final gate in this whole initiation phase. If you pass, you get the green light to move on to the actual planning.
So, we've covered a ton of ground in just that first critical initiation phase. Let's do a quick recap of the powerful tools we've just put into our event planning toolkit.
Remember, if you want to start an event the right way, you need a process. You start by defining it with the 5 W's. Then you make your goals concrete with SMART objectives. You figure out your audience with stakeholder mapping, and you ground the whole thing in reality with a feasibility check. It all fits together.
And this really is the bottom line. It's this process, this blueprint, that time and time again turns a simple, good idea into a truly memorable and successful event.
So now you have the foundational tools for that critical first phase. The blueprint is in your hands. The only question left is, what are you going to build?
Just so you know, this explainer was based on lecture materials from the Guildhall Business and Law School at London Metropolitan University.